My parents demanded I use my down payment to pay my sister's debt, so I cut them off and let the consequences shatter their fairy tale dream. The third overdraft notice from Maeve's bank arrived in my mailbox this morning. I stood there in my bathrobe holding the envelope and wondered, not for the first time, what it would feel like to just disappear. My name is CLA, and I'm the responsible sister. The one who gets the calls at 2 a.m. when Maeve's card is declined. The one who knows exactly how much money our parents have in their retirement account because I'm the one who set it up. The human safety net for a family that treats stability like it's my superpower instead of my prison. CLA. CLA, are you there? Maeve's voice crackled through my phone speaker. I really need your help. The bank, they're being totally unreasonable. Stop, I pressed my fingers against my temples. Just how much this time? Only $800. I swear I'll pay you back by next month. Like the $600 from January or the $1,000 from Christmas, the words came out sharper than I intended. Silence on the line. Then, in a smaller voice, you're mad at me. I'm not mad, I was exhausted. I'll transfer it. But Maeve, this has to stop. You're the best, I love you so much. Hey, did Mom tell you I might be getting that job at the salon? I ended the call and opened my banking app. $800. That's 2 weeks of groceries or 1/3 of what I needed to reach my down payment goal. The number I'd been inching toward for 3 years, watching it grow in my savings account like a fragile plant. Later that night, I sat in my tiny apartment, laptop balanced on my knees. Reddit glowed on the screen as I typed. Sometimes I daydream about running away from my family. The words poured out. Years of being the responsible one, of watching my sister burn through money and relationships while our parents cleaned up her messes with my savings account. My phone buzzed. Mom, honey, we need to talk about Maeve, she said, her voice doing that thing where she tries to sound casual, but I can hear the tension underneath. What's she done now? Well, it's complicated. Your father and I think it would be better to discuss this in person. Can you come over tomorrow night? My stomach dropped. How bad? $42,000 in credit card debt, Mom's voice cracked. But we have a plan. We've been thinking about it. And since you're so good with money, the rest of her words faded into static. $42,000, almost exactly what I'd saved for my down payment. Claire, are you listening? Yeah, Mom, I'm here. My voice sounded far away, even to myself. Good, because we really need you to be there for your sister right now. You know how she struggles, and you've always been so responsible, so good at saving. I stared at my laptop screen, at the blinking cursor under my Reddit post. Someone had already commented, "You don't owe your family your entire life." CLA, Mom pressed. You'll help, won't you? It's better this way. She needs it more than you do right now. You're good at saving. You can always start over. The words hit me like a physical blow. Start over. 3 years of overtime shifts, of saying no to vacations, of living in this cramped apartment with the leaky faucet, all of it erased because Maeve needed another bailout. Of course, I heard myself say, I'll look at the numbers tomorrow. After hanging up, I opened my banking app again, stared at my savings balance. $43,000 a day. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd sacrificed for. And they expected me to hand it over like it meant nothing. My hands were shaking as I picked up my phone and opened my sister's Instagram. There she was, posted 2 days ago, showing off a new designer bag. Last week, pictures from a weekend trip to Miami. All while racking up debt she expected me to pay off. I clicked back to Reddit where more comments had appeared under my post. One caught my eye. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is let people face the consequences of their own actions. For the first time in years, I felt something shift inside me. A crack in the foundation of responsibility I'd built my life on. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I thought about consequences, about karma, about what would happen if just once I chose myself first. I opened a new tab and searched how to open a separate checking account. Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest actions. And sometimes revenge looks exactly like freedom. I sat at my parents' kitchen table, the same one where I'd done my homework 20 years ago, watching Mom stir her coffee with mechanical precision. 3 turns clockwise, always 3. Some things never change. We've worked it all out, she said, sliding a folder across the table. Your father's prepared all the transfer forms. It's just a matter of moving the money. I opened the folder, scanning documents I'd seen 1,000 times in my accounting job. My hands were steady even as my stomach churned. Tell me again how this happened. Oh, honey, you know how these things snowball. Mom waved her hand dismissively. A few emergency expenses, some necessary purchases, like the Gucci bag she posted on Instagram last week. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Dad cleared his throat from his position by the sink. CLA, don't be petty. Your sister is going through a difficult time. When isn't she? I muttered, but they ignored me. It's all family money anyway, Mom said, reaching across to pat my hand. That's what savings are for, helping family. Remember when you were 16 and crashed the car? We helped you then. The memory hit me like a slap. I paid back every cent with interest. And that was $2,000, not $42,000. The amount doesn't matter, Mom insisted. What matters is we're family. We help each other. I flipped through the transfer forms, remembering the night I'd paid off their second mortgage after Maeve's first major credit card disaster. I'd been 24, emptying my 401k while they all slept, believing I was protecting them. Now I wondered who had been protecting me. Where is Maeve anyway? I asked, knowing the answer. She's very upset, Mom said quickly. This is all so overwhelming for her. She's staying with a friend. Translation, she couldn't face me while taking my money. My phone buzzed, an email from Dad with the bank routing information. Just send it through tomorrow at work, he said. The sooner we handle this, the better. I stood up, tucking the folder into my bag. I'll take care of it. Mom hugged me, her perfume overwhelming. You're such a good daughter, CLA. We're so lucky to have you. I didn't hug back. Yeah, lucky. The drive home felt longer than usual. I pulled into my apartment complex, but instead of going upstairs, I knocked on my landlord's door. Prudence answered, still in her gardening clothes. Claire, everything okay? I need to ask you something, I swallowed hard. What's the earliest I could give 30 days notice? Her eyes narrowed. Planning to leave us? Maybe. I'm not sure yet. I just need to know my options. Prudence studied me for a long moment. First of the month, she said finally. But Claire, whatever you're planning, be sure. Really sure. Back in my apartment, I opened my laptop and started making lists, account numbers, passwords, joint investments, utility accounts, every financial thread that connected me to my family. My phone buzzed again. A text from Maeve. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're literally saving my life. Love you, sis. I stared at the heart emoji, remembering another night 5 years ago. I'd been in the emergency room with a kidney infection, delirious with fever. I'd called Maeve 3 times, begging her to come. She was too busy. I saw her party photos on Facebook the next day. Opening my banking app, I began the process of opening a new account. Different bank, different branch, no connection to any existing accounts. Then I started documenting everything. Screenshots of transfer histories, spreadsheets of loans paid, receipts for bills covered. A new email arrived from Dad. Don't forget transfer first thing tomorrow. Your mother's worried sick about this whole situation. I typed back, don't worry. Everything will be taken care of by 9 a.m. It wasn't exactly a lie. By 9 a.m. tomorrow, everything would indeed be taken care of, just not in the way they expected. I looked around my small apartment at the life I'd built while supporting everyone else's. The down payment I'd saved wasn't just money. It was freedom. My freedom. And maybe it was time to use it for exactly that. Opening my phone, I pulled up Prudence's contact. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before typing. I'd like to give my 30 days notice starting 1st of next month. Her reply came quickly. Thought you might. Forms are ready whenever you are. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Tomorrow would change everything. And for once, I was ready for change. The office was quiet at 7 a.m. as I methodically worked through my checklist. Cancel joint credit card with Maeve. Done. Remove myself as guarantor from parents' accounts. Done. Update mail forwarding. Done. Each click of my mouse felt like breaking a chain. You're here early, I jumped. Gideon from the cubicle next to mine stood in the doorway holding 2 coffee cups. Couldn't sleep, I said, minimizing my screens. What's your excuse? He set one of the coffees on my desk. Quarter-end reports, but you've been here early all week. Everything okay? Just busy, I took a sip of the coffee. Perfect amount of cream. He'd noticed how I took it. Right, he didn't sound convinced. You know if you need to talk. I don't, the words came out sharper than intended. But thanks for the coffee. He nodded and retreated to his desk. I felt a twinge of guilt. Gideon had always been kind to me, but I couldn't risk anyone knowing what I was about to do. Opening my bottom drawer, I pulled out a flash drive. My insurance policy, years of receipts, transfer records, loan documents, every dollar I'd given them, every bill I'd paid, every financial rescue I'd mounted. I'd spent weeks scanning and organizing it all. So, I know my phone buzzed. Mom, just checking. You're handling the transfer this morning, right? Everything's in motion, I texted back. Not a lie. I pulled up the joint investment account I shared with my parents, the one they'd insisted I managed because I was so good with money. With a few clicks, I transferred my portion to my new separate account. Next came the utility accounts, all in my name, all paid from my account for years. Time to update the billing information. You missed a spot, I nearly jumped out of my skin. Gideon again, pointing at my screen. What? The beneficiary designation on your 401k. If you're cutting financial ties, you'll want to change that too. My blood ran cold. How did you? I've been watching you all week, he said quietly. The new accounts, the transfers, the documentation. I'm not judging. Sometimes family is toxic. I'm not, I started to deny it, then stopped. How much have you seen? Enough to know you're being thorough, but you missed the 401k beneficiaries and your health insurance may have still listed them as your emergency contact. I stared at him. Why are you helping me? He shrugged. Because I've been where you are and because you look like you haven't slept in days. My eyes burned. He wasn't wrong. Thank you, I whispered. He nodded once and returned to his desk. I updated my beneficiaries and emergency contacts, then moved on to the final phase. My hand shook as I composed the email to my parents' creditors, removing myself as contact person and financial guarantor. No more midnight calls about missed payments. No more using my good credit as their safety net. Another text from Mom. Maeve's so excited to have this settled. We're thinking of celebrating tonight. I pictured them planning a dinner with my money they didn't yet realize they wouldn't be getting. My stomach churned. Opening my email, I crafted one final message. Transfer will process by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Everything's taken care of. Mom's reply was instant. You're an angel. We knew we could count on you. Maeve sent a string of heart emojis. I leaned back in my chair, watching the clock tick toward 9 a.m. In my new apartment across town, my boxes were already packed. The lease was signed. My new phone number was activated. All my important documents were in a safety deposit box only I could access. Hey, Gideon's voice was soft. You okay? I realized I was crying. No, but I will be. Want to get lunch later after everything? I looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. He had kind eyes. Yeah, I said. I'd like that. My phone buzzed one last time. Dad, your mother's worried the transfer hasn't shown up yet. I turned off my phone and slipped it into my drawer. By now, they'd be checking their accounts, waiting for the money. The panic would start soon. The calls would flood in. The realization would hit them. I wasn't fixing this mess. Not this time. For the first time in years, I felt something like peace. It's done, I whispered to myself. It's finally done. The office began to fill with other employees. Normal morning chatter, coffee runs, regular life continuing while my world shifted on its axis. I opened my web browser and pulled up apartment listings. Time to start thinking about furniture for my new place. Time to start thinking about myself. The first voicemail came at 9:07 a.m. Claire, the money hasn't shown up yet. Call me back immediately, Mom's voice was tight, controlled. 9:12 a.m. CLA, this isn't funny. We need that transfer now. 9:15 a.m. Your sister is having a panic attack. How could you do this to her? I sat at my desk sipping tea, listening to the messages pile up through my blocked numbers, each one more desperate than the last. The office hummed with normal activity while my phone silently exploded. Gideon appeared with another coffee. How's it going? They're melting down, I showed him my email. 37 new messages in the last hour. Mom's threatening to call the police. For what? Not giving them your money? For stealing from them? She thinks I hacked their accounts, I couldn't help but laugh. I just removed myself from them. My computer pinged. A new email from Maeve. OMG, did someone hack you? My card just got declined and the bank says the account is closed. Call me. She thinks she's been scammed, I told Gideon. Hasn't figured out yet that I'm the scammer. How long are you going to let them spiral? Until they stop expecting me to fix everything. The elevator dinged. Through the glass walls of our office, I saw Maeve storm in, her designer bag swinging wildly. My stomach dropped. Where is she? She screamed at the receptionist. Where's my sister? Security was already moving. I stayed at my desk watching. You need to calm down, the guard said. Don't tell me to calm down. She stole from me. Claire, I know you're in here. I stood up slowly, walked to the office entrance. Everyone was staring. You need to leave, I said quietly. Leave? You destroyed everything. The accounts are empty. Mom's crying. What did you do? I didn't take anything that wasn't mine, my voice was steady. The accounts aren't empty. They just don't have access to my money anymore. Your money? She laughed hysterically. It's family money. That's what Mom always said. Not anymore. The security guard stepped between us. Ma'am, if you don't leave voluntarily, we'll call the police. Go ahead, Maeve shrieked. Call them. She's the criminal. The only crime, I said, is how long I let you all use me. Something in my voice made her stop. Really? Look at me. You did this on purpose? Yes. But why? We're family. Family doesn't drain you dry. Family doesn't expect you to sacrifice everything. Family doesn't treat you like an ATM. Tears streamed down her face. I needed that money. No, you needed consequences. The security guard took her arm. Time to go. You'll regret this, she screamed as they led her out. Mom and Dad will never forgive you. I know, I said softly. That's the point. The office was dead silent. I turned to face my coworkers, their shocked expressions. Show's over, I announced. Back to work. I returned to my desk, hands shaking slightly. Gideon appeared with a water bottle. That was intense, he said. That was just the beginning. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Dad, using Mom's phone, your mother is having chest pains. If anything happens to her, it's on you. I blocked that number too. Another email from Maeve. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. I never want to see you again. I typed back 3 words. As you wish. Then I opened my bottom drawer, pulled out the flash drive, and plugged it in. Time to organize the evidence just in case they tried anything legal. The spreadsheet of financial transactions told the story. $157,800 over 10 years. That's what family had cost me. Claire, my supervisor, stood at my desk. Can we talk? I followed her to her office, already knowing what was coming. We can't have scenes like that in the workplace, she began. It won't happen again, I assured her. I blocked all contact. She studied me. Are you okay? No, I surprised myself with the honesty. But I will be. Back at my desk, I found a sticky note from Gideon. Lunch. You look like you could use a friend. I smiled slightly, stuck the note in my planner. Maybe I could. My email pinged one final time. Mom, you don't belong in this family anymore. For the first time, those words didn't hurt. They felt like freedom. I typed back, you're right. I don't. Then I turned back to my work, letting the silence of my phone wash over me like peace. The pounding on my apartment door started at 6 a.m. I sat on my couch, coffee in hand, listening to Mom's voice through the wood. Claire Elizabeth, I know you're in there. Open this door right now. I took another sip of coffee. The walls in this building were thin. My neighbors would hear everything. Good thing I'd already given notice. Your father is sick with worry. Is that what you wanted, to make us all sick? My phone buzzed. A text from my neighbor across the hall. Want me to call the cops? Not yet, I typed back. But thanks. I raised you better than this, Mom's voice cracked. After everything we've done for you, I nearly choked on my coffee. Everything they'd done for me. The memories flooded back. Working 2 jobs through college while Maeve got a free ride, emptying my savings to cover their second mortgage, canceling my vacation to bail Maeve out of jail after her DUI. The pounding stopped, then softer. Please, honey, just talk to us. I stayed silent. Fine, her voice turned cold. Have it your way. Footsteps retreated down the hallway. I waited 10 minutes before opening my door to retrieve the mail. At work, Gideon was already at my desk. You look terrible. Thanks. Mom showed up at my apartment this morning. Did you talk to her? No, but the whole building heard her talk to me. I slumped into my chair. HR wants to see me at 10 because of Maeve's scene yesterday. I nodded. Apparently she's been calling the office multiple times. Want me to come with you to HR? Why would you? Because you look like you're about to break and someone should have your back. The sincerity in his voice made my throat tight. I'm fine. No, you're not. And that's okay. Before I could respond, my email pinged. A message from an unfamiliar address made my blood run cold. Hey, Claire Bear. Long time no see. Heard you're having family troubles. Maybe we should talk about some of Maeve's creative accounting. Hank. Maeve's ex. The one who'd introduced her to credit card fraud. What's wrong? Gideon asked. You've gone pale. I showed him the email. Maeve's ex. He's not a good person. Sounds like a threat. It is, I rubbed my temples. Maeve must have told him about the money. Ms. Roberts, HR's assistant, appeared. They're ready for you. The meeting was exactly as uncomfortable as I'd expected. Yes, my sister had been causing disruptions. No, I couldn't control her actions. Yes, I understood this was a professional environment. We're concerned, the HR director said, about the impact on workplace harmony. I understand, I replied. I blocked all contact. It won't happen again. See that it doesn't. Back at my desk, 3 more emails from Hank waited, each more suggestive than the last. I know things about your sister's finances that could cause real problems. Wonder what the police would think about certain transactions. Let's meet. Talk about family loyalty. You should report him, Gideon said, reading over my shoulder. And say what? That my sister's sketchy ex is threatening me because I won't give her money. Yes, exactly that. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Coffee shop on 5th, 3 p.m. Come alone. Don't go, Gideon said immediately. I have to. If he knows something about Maeve's accounts that could blow back on me. Then let me come with you, he said. Alone. Since when do you follow orders from criminals? I almost smiled. Almost. At 2:55 p.m., I walked into the coffee shop. Hank sat in the corner, looking exactly as sleazy as I remembered. Gideon positioned himself at a table near the door, pretending to work on his laptop. Claire Bear, Hank smiled. Sit down. Let's chat about family. Let's chat about blackmail instead. His smile didn't waver. Strong word. I prefer negotiation. Nothing to negotiate. Whatever Maeve did with her accounts is not my problem anymore. No, he leaned forward. What if I told you she used your social security number for some of those accounts? My stomach dropped. You're lying. Want to bet your credit score on that? He slid a paper across the table. Let's talk numbers. I looked at the figure he'd written, looked at his smirking face, and made a decision. No, I said, standing up. Let's talk consequences instead. His smile finally faltered. What? Check your email in an hour and never contact me again. I walked out, Gideon falling into step beside me. What now? He asked. Now, I said, pulling out my phone, I call my lawyer. The diner's fluorescent lights made everyone look sickly. Maeve sat across from me, Hank hovering behind her like a shadow. My lawyer's business card burned in my pocket, a silent reminder that I held the power. Now you're asking, her mascara already smudging. You're going to let them arrest me. I'm not letting them do anything, I said, stirring my coffee. Your choices, your consequences. But I'm your sister, and I'm done being your human shield. I pulled out a folder. Want to explain these credit card applications? The ones with my social security number. Hank shifted uncomfortably. Maeve's face went white. That's not what it looks like. Identity theft is exactly what it looks like. I laid out the documents my lawyer had pulled. 5 cards, $42,000. My social security number. I was desperate, tears started falling. You wouldn't help me. I helped you for 10 years. I worked overtime, canceled vacations, lived in a cramped apartment so you could have whatever you wanted. You're just jealous, she spat. You've always been jealous that Mom and Dad love me more. The words should have hurt. Instead, I laughed. Love you more. They enabled you more. There's a difference. Hank finally spoke up. Look, we can work something out. Maybe a payment plan. There's already a plan, I cut him off. The police are very interested in both of you, especially your history of targeting vulnerable women for financial scams, Hank. His face darkened. You don't want to threaten me? No, I pulled out my phone, showed them the screen. I've been recording this entire conversation, and I have copies of everything, the fraudulent applications, the transfer histories, even those texts where you tried to blackmail me. Maeve grabbed Hank's arm. You said she wouldn't have proof. Shut up, he hissed. Here's what's going to happen, I said, closing the folder. You're both going to leave. Never contact me again. Never come to my workplace. Never touch my finances. Or what? Hank challenged. Or I press charges. Identity theft, fraud, blackmail. Take your pick. My lawyer has the paperwork ready. You'd send your own sister to jail? Maeve whispered. You were willing to destroy my credit score. Seems fair. She started sobbing. The waitress glanced over, concerned. Everything's fine, I called out. Then lower, isn't it, Maeve? I hate you, she choked out. No, you hate that I stopped playing by your rules. I stood up, dropping cash for my coffee. Goodbye, Maeve. Good luck with the police investigation. Hank grabbed my arm. You think you're so clever. Remove your hand, I said quietly. Or I'll scream. There are witnesses, cameras, and a police station 2 blocks away. Your choice. He let go like I'd burned him. One more thing, I added, reaching the door. I'm not the only one you've tried to scam. Remember Sarah from the bank? Jessica from the loan office? They're very interested in testifying. The color drained from his face. You ruined everything, Maeve sobbed. No, I looked at her one last time. I just stopped letting you ruin me. Outside, the evening air felt clean, fresh. My phone buzzed. A text from Gideon. All okay? Better than okay, I replied. Another message popped up, this one from Mom. Maeve just called us hysterical. What have you done? I typed back. Ask her about the credit card fraud. Ask her about Hank's scams. Or better yet, ask yourselves why you never did. Then I blocked their number too. Walking home, I passed a real estate office. In the window, a photo of a small townhouse caught my eye. Nothing fancy, just a modest home with a small garden, but it would be mine. No family drama, no financial abuse, no midnight crisis calls. My phone rang, my lawyer. They took the bait, she said. Hank's lawyer reached out. They want to deal. And Maeve, the evidence is clear. She can cooperate or face charges. I watched my reflection in the real estate window. The woman staring back looked tired but strong. Give them 24 hours to decide, I said. Then we move forward. You're sure about this? They're your family. No, I said, turning away from the window. They're people who used to control me. There's a difference. I hung up and started walking again, faster now. Each step felt lighter, each breath clearer. Behind me, the sun was setting on my old life. Ahead, the street stretched out like possibilities. For the first time in forever, I was free to choose which way to go. The legal notice arrived on a Tuesday morning. I stared at the certified letter, my hands shaking as I read the words. Notice of civil action. My parents had listed me as a co-signer on a new loan, one I'd never signed for. They'd forged my signature using our shared history of joint accounts as proof of my involvement. They can't do this, Gideon said, reading over my shoulder in the break room. It's fraud. They think they can bully me back into line, my voice cracked. They're trying to force me to help with Maeve's debt. Call your lawyer now. I did. She answered on the first ring. They're desperate, she said after I explained. This is good news. Good news? They're trying to steal my identity. No, they're providing evidence of a pattern of financial abuse. This helps our case. My desk phone lit up. The receptionist's voice was apologetic. Your father's here. Don't, Gideon said, but I was already standing. Dad looked older, standing in the lobby, defeated. Claire, please. Your mother's not sleeping. Maeve's talking about moving across the country. We just want our family back. The family where I pay for everything and get nothing in return. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is forging my signature on loan documents. I held up the notice. Did you really think I wouldn't fight back? We're scared, he admitted. The bank's threatening foreclosure. Maeve's cards are all frozen. Your mother's blood pressure. Stop, my voice was steel. I'm not responsible for fixing your lives anymore, but we're your parents. Parents protect their children. They don't exploit them. His face hardened. Your mother was right. You've changed. Yes, I have. Back at my desk, I emailed my lawyer the security footage of Dad's visit. More evidence. My phone buzzed, a TikTok notification. Maeve had posted a video. My stomach dropped as I watched. My sister abandoned our family, her tearful face declared. Left us drowning in debt. Don't trust someone just because they're blood. Hashtags, toxic family, dust betrayal. The comments were flooding in. Stay strong. Family should help family. What a horrible sister. Gideon appeared with coffee. Social media doesn't matter. The law does. They're making me the villain. No, they're showing everyone exactly why you left. My lawyer called again. We've got them. The loan application, the forged signature, Maeve's social media posts admitting to debt. It's all evidence. Want to press charges? I thought about Mom's sleepless nights, Dad's defeated posture, Maeve's tears. Yes, I whispered. Send the cease and desist. File the police report. It'll get ugly. It already is. That night, alone in my apartment, the emails started. Mom, the police came. Is this what you wanted, to destroy us? Dad, your mother's in the hospital. Stress attack. Are you happy now? Maeve, they're saying I could go to jail. I hope you rot. I forwarded each one to my lawyer without reading further. Then I opened Reddit, found my original post from weeks ago. Sometimes I daydream about running away from my family. The comments had multiplied. Update us. Stay strong. You're inspiring others to break free. I started typing an update. I didn't run away. I stood my ground. Gideon texted, "You okay?" No, I replied honestly. But I will be. Want company? I make decent pasta. I stared at the message. In the midst of all this darkness, someone was offering light. Yes, I typed back. I'd like that. My phone lit up one final time. A message from Mom. No matter how far you run, blood is blood. That doesn't change. You'll regret this eventually. When you're alone and need family, remember who you abandoned. I thought about Gideon bringing me coffee, about my lawyer's fierce protection, about Prudence checking on me daily, about the Reddit strangers cheering me on. You're right, I wrote back. Blood is blood, but family is who lifts you up, not who drags you down. I'm not alone. I'm free. Then I blocked her number, the last one, and started making dinner. Tonight, I'd have pasta with a friend. Tomorrow, I'd face whatever came next. The police report was filed. The cease and desist was sent. The evidence was documented. For the first time in my life, I wasn't fixing their mess. I was fixing mine. The keys to my new townhouse felt heavy in my hand. Prudence stood beside me on the front step, holding a potted plant. A housewarming gift. Ready? She asked. I turned the key. The door swung open to empty rooms full of possibility. My possibilities. It's smaller than your parents' place, Prudence noted. But it's mine, I set down the box I was carrying. Every inch of it. My phone buzzed. A news alert. I'd set up notifications for certain names. There it was. Local businessman arrested for financial fraud. Hank's mugshot stared back at me. Good, Prudence said, reading over my shoulder. One down. Maeve took a plea deal, I told her. Community service, financial counseling, and she has to pay everything back. And your parents? The cease and desist worked. They're leaving me alone. Moving boxes lined the hallway, each one labeled in Gideon's neat handwriting. He'd insisted on helping organize the move, turning chaos into order, just like he'd helped turn my life from chaos to order. Where do you want this? He called from the doorway carrying my small kitchen table. By the window, I said, where the light is. My phone buzzed again. A text from my lawyer. Final paperwork filed. You're officially clear of all their accounts. Congratulations. Prudence squeezed my arm. How does it feel? Scary, I admitted. Good scary. We unpacked in comfortable silence. Each item finding its place. Each room slowly becoming home. No more leaky faucets. No more thin walls. No more waiting for the next crisis. Look what I found, Gideon said, holding up an old photo album. You can throw that away. You sure? It's your history. I took the album, flipped through photos of forced family smiles and fake harmony. My history is what I make from now on. The doorbell rang. My heart stopped. Pizza, Gideon said quickly. I ordered pizza. We sat on moving boxes eating pizza from paper plates. Prudence told stories about terrible tenants. Gideon shared office gossip. Normal conversation, normal life. My laptop dinged. A new email from Mom. Don't open it, Prudence warned. I need to. The subject line read, Receipt. Dear Claire, your father and I received the final notice from the lawyer today. You've made your point. You've won. I hope you're satisfied with destroying this family. But since you're so focused on debts and payments, here's a receipt for every dinner I cooked, every ride to school, every birthday present. That's what family meant to us. Keeping score. Isn't that what you wanted? When you're ready to apologize, you know where to find us. Mom. I started laughing, real, uncontrollable laughter that bubbled up from somewhere deep inside my chest and refused to be bottled again. It rolled out of me in waves, loud and messy and utterly unladylike. Claire's eyes widened. Gideon took a half step forward, concern creasing his brow, like he wasn't sure whether to call an ambulance or just hand me a paper bag. I waved them off, still laughing, tears streaming, until finally I could breathe again. I wiped my face with the sleeve of my hoodie, opened the laptop balanced on the cardboard box that was currently serving as my coffee table, and pulled up the spreadsheet. The one I'd been quietly updating for almost a decade. Every transfer, every emergency Venmo, every check written with shaking hands. The final total glowed in the bottom cell like a verdict. $157,843. Want to see my reply? I asked, voice still trembling with leftover laughter. They both nodded, leaning in like kids waiting for the good part of a ghost story. I cracked my knuckles, then let my fingers fly across the keys. Dear Mom, here's my receipt. Second mortgage payment to keep the house from foreclosure. $47,000 Maeve's bail and lawyer after the third DUI. $15,000 credit card bailouts, plural. Because it happened more than once. $42,000 utility shutoff notices I paid so you wouldn't sit in the dark. $23,892 emergency loans that were never emergencies and never repaid. $30,000. Grand total, $157,843. But you forgot to add a few line items to your little guilt trip invoice. Cost of my self-respect the day I realized I was your personal ATM, priceless. Price of every vacation I canceled, every promotion I turned down, every night I spent crying in my car because I was broke again, everything I had. Value of the moment I finally said no and meant it, worth every single penny and then some. I'm done keeping score. From now on I'm only keeping my peace. Goodbye, Clara. I hovered over send for half a second, then clicked it before the old fear could crawl back up my throat. Brutal, Prudence whispered, reading over my shoulder. Honest, Gideon corrected softly. I snapped the laptop shut. The sound echoed in the empty living room like a judge's gavel. Final. Done. I looked around at my new apartment, barely bigger than a shoebox, walls still smelling of fresh paint and possibility. The couch was second-hand, the rug was a clearance aisle rescue, and the only art on the walls was a single string of fairy lights I'd hung with thumbtacks. But every inch of it was mine. Paid for with money I earned, money that would never again disappear into someone else's crisis. I need plates, I announced suddenly, the realization hitting me like a small, bright firework. Real ones. Not the paper ones I've been using for 3 weeks. And curtains. Something cheerful. Yellow maybe. Tomorrow, Gideon said, grinning like he'd been waiting for me to say exactly that. Tonight we celebrate. He disappeared into the tiny kitchen and came back with a bottle of cheap champagne he must have hidden in the fridge earlier. Prudence rummaged through a box marked Misk and triumphantly produced 3 red plastic cups left over from somebody's 4th of July party. To new beginnings, she said, raising hers. To freedom, Gideon added, clinking his cup against mine. To peace, I whispered, and for the first time in years the word didn't feel like a lie. We drank. The champagne was too sweet and the cups were ridiculous, but the sunset pouring through my bare windows painted everything gold. Outside, the little patch of dirt that came with the rental waited for spring and whatever flowers I decided to plant. My flowers. My dirt. My life. My phone stayed silent on the counter. No vibrating. No new disaster pinging in at 11 p.m. Just quiet. Gideon ordered more pizza, extra cheese, because tonight calories didn't count. We ate it cross-legged on the floor, backs against the wall, grease shining on our fingers and laughter coming easier than it had in years. Prudence left around 10, pausing at the door to pull me into one of her fierce, no-escape hugs. You did it, kid, she murmured into my hair. You really, really did it. I hugged her back until my arms stopped shaking. When the door closed behind her, Gideon and I were alone in the soft pool of fairy-light glow. He reached over and tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, gentle, like he was afraid I might still vanish if he moved too fast. Tomorrow, he said quietly, dinner. Just us. I'll cook. Or attempt to. Fair warning, my signature dish is spaghetti and jar sauce. I smiled, a real one, the kind that started in my eyes and didn't need to be rehearsed in a mirror. Just us, I agreed. Later, after he'd gone and the apartment settled into true quiet, I walked from room to room turning off lights I didn't have to ask permission to use. Empty corners waited for bookshelves. Blank walls waited for photographs of people who loved me without keeping a running tab. The silence wasn't heavy anymore, it felt wide open, like the first blank page of a brand new book. I stood at the window a long time, watching the streetlights flicker on, feeling the last of the old weight slide off my shoulders and stay on the floor where it belonged. Tomorrow I would buy plates. And curtains. And seeds for the garden.